Mostra o teu poder, desliza no beat, faz acontecer. O mundo gira ao teu redor. Com esse swing, tu é maior.
It's lights out, and away we go then, and Max was there, Lando Norris, it's an even start, but Lando Norris looks to have got back the inside already. Lando Norris has got into the lead, and look, Sergio Perez, the cork in the bottle and the real kind of outsider here, passing Verstappen. That's not what Red Bull will want last, is Sebastian Vettel, he's fallen off too. There's a piece of debris there going across the track, it might be more than one, and it's Sebastian Vettel who's one of them. Oh, really? Sebastian Vettel, just the man with no luck. Both Haas drivers are in. What happened there? And it's a dive bomb on the inside of Alfa Romeo. That was never really on for Mick Schumacher. Probably in a desperate bid to maybe impress his future employees at Mercedes as a reserve driver. And Kevin Magnussen actually hit the Williams of, I guess that's Alex Albon then. And I think Aston Martin's got together. This is better than Stroll. Yes, they do. Here we are with the replay of Tsunoda. And he's not near anyone, he just mounts up on the curb, and the car does not comply with that. But Aiden Jackson is going to have his own say in the matter, because he's going to grab a point for 8th place off a classic Ricardo. But Lando Norris, whatever the case, starts from pole position. He wins the sprint. So, it's advantage for Verstappen in terms of the Drivers' Championship with a 29-point lead. So, the most simple permutation is for Max to finish in any points position ahead of Charles and Jackson today in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix to win the championship. But let's work out some others, Harry. Do you think, Charles? Well, for Charles, he needs 4 more points than Max in this race. So, if he wins it, the title will go to Abu Dhabi regardless of where Max finishes. If Max finishes 8th, they'll be back level on points with Max ahead on wins countback. Does that sound familiar? If Charles is second with the fastest lap, with Max third or lower, it goes to Abu Dhabi. If he's third with the fastest lap, Max must be directly behind. 4th or lower for either, with the other directly behind them, and the title goes to the last race. Well, for Jackson, he needs a 7-point swing in his favour, and even then it looks particularly difficult. All he can realistically do is win with the fastest lap, and that's just to be in with a chance. But if he's 6th, Max and Charles must be both out of the points. Red Bull and Ferrari do seem to be out of reach of Audi this weekend, but even so, don't count them out completely. Mika needs no introduction, and Jackson really is having a breakout season and emerging as quite a special talent. What was it the late Duke of Magic said in 2021 after Jackson's win at Monza? I wish we'd got to him first. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, that looks to be going down to the final race regardless of the results today. A 10-point swing in Red Bull's favour in this race would have them lead for the first time this season. And don't forget the fight for third either between Audi and Mercedes, with 10 points between them as well. Oh, and one last thing, it's raining for the start. Well, no matter the result today, I think we can agree that the 2022 in Formula 1 has been truly this sport at its best. Round 21 here at Sao Paulo could decide another driver's title after 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 12, after spending so long at the beginning of the season. Unfortunately, there's no Brazilian on the grid this year, but there is Lewis Hamilton to take us round. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache circuit in Brazil's Sao Paulo was first introduced to the calendar in 1973. Now that's a bit before my time, so I'm not really sure how much the circuit has changed since then, but it's been virtually unchanged since more my time of watching the sport back in the 90s, and of course playing the F1 games as well. I'll give you a quick fun fact as Lewis Hamilton takes us round in Mercedes for this lap. This circuit is actually one of my favourites to drive on the calendar, and that's through obviously many years of experience. Here we are with a bit of a twisty section. You can see that Lewis is on the intermediate tyres, and you might be asking, why does the game look, the game kind of we're watching here kind of since its bone dry with the sun coming out. It did rain. There was a big rain shower at the start of Q1, so that's probably why. It hadn't quite dried out yet. So that's probably why you're seeing that. It's very short, Sao Paulo, just 15 or 16 corners, and before you know it, you've started it and you've finished it, and you go round again. That is the lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. Lewis Hamilton, very popular around here, as you can probably tell. The Brazilian Grand Prix has done a lot of things in its time since its 1973 debut. It's even been a season opener in the mid-90s. Here today for 2022, it could crown yet another world champion. Max Verstappen needs to finish ahead of Leclerc and Jackson in any position, and it'll be sewn up. Anything else, and we might have to try and work it out all over again. Coming from round 21 of a 22 race season is Aaron Henwood. We're nearly there, buddy. We're nearly at the end. Thank you, Chaos. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. Certainly to drive, as I just mentioned in the on-board lap with Lewis Hamilton there. This is actually one of my favourite tracks to drive as well. My time of watching the sport back then was the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, or the Brazilian Grand Prix, as it was known back then, was around round 1 or 2. I never even knew it was a season opener in the mid-90s, so that was a fun fact I learned playing other games from earlier years. But here today, it crowns another world champion. We've had plenty of battles. We had 2005 and 6 with Alonso. We had 2007 with Kimi Raikkonen. We had 2008, famously with Lewis Hamilton. We had 2009 with Jenson Button. And we had 2012 with Sebastian Vettel. Will 2022 be with Max Verstappen? Let's go for the grid for the main Grand Prix today. All the sprint race was literally redundant as the grid was all mixed up again due to penalties. And we're going through a lot quicker than I thought, so I'm going to read a bit quicker, I guess. Magnussen, Stroll by 18 and 17. Mick Schumacher was at the very back. Sebastian Vettel 16th alongside Fernando Alonso. Esteban Ocon was 14th alongside Stoda. I don't think anyone is actually starting from where they finished the sprint race. As you can tell there, Lando Norris was 12th. He won the sprint race yesterday. Hakkinen also suffered a penalty down to 10th. He went behind Pierre Gasly. So we're into the top 10 then. Valtteri Bottas goes from a season best of 8, I believe, behind Max Verstappen, the championship leader. Aiden Jackson is alongside George Russell. It's Charles Leclerc that is in prime championship position on the grid at least. The front row is probably the most unusual one of all. Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton.
Right,
and as you could probably have told, and as I said at the beginning of the grid rundown, and just to kind of fill out those positions, Mick Schumacher was 22nd, Greg Wanyu was 20th, and the Williams were 20th and 19th, with Albon ahead of Latifi. You can actually tell that on the start tyres. Now, it's the wet conditions. DRS is disabled, and everyone is on the intermediate tyres. Now, this is Max Verstappen territory in terms of the weather. We need no introduction to how Max Verstappen drove, or put in rather, one of the most memorable drives of modern times in 2016. Probably the greatest ever wet weather performance of all time for an overall race. So many people would probably argue many of Schumacher's performances, particularly in 1996 when the Spanish Grand Prix was soaked. 1993, I know a lot of people would point out, that was the greatest first lap in the race, of course by Ayrton Senna. passing 4 cars before the end of the first lap. That's certainly one of the greatest wet weather first laps we've ever experienced. As for a race overall, Max Verstappen was on another planet at that point, and he didn't even win the race. It must have felt like a win with what he was going through. He had to pit twice. I think he almost put it in the wall. Had to pit and then had to fight back through the field at least twice to get to about, I think it was second or third position. It was sensational. He is one of those tipped to win today in these conditions. He's going to have to do it from 7th, but don't count out Lewis Hamilton either. Certainly equal to Max Verstappen when it comes to the best in class in rain conditions. This is the perfect opportunity for Lewis Hamilton to break his duck in 2022. He's so far gone through winless this season, which is something he hasn't actually done his entire career so far, spanning of course back in 2007. He has won at least one race every year since. He has the perfect chance to do that today. Here come the 5 red lights as the season nears its end. It's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go for round 21 of 2022. Here comes Sergio Perez, and it looks like Hamilton did get a good start. There he goes down the inside. We're all going to jostle for the space in the center S. Looks like we're all going to get through clearly. Lewis Hamilton leads. Lewis Hamilton leads as expected. And Lewis already tapping into that wet weather performances that he's been known for. Now, where is everyone else? Well, Perez is ahead of Sainz. And don't forget, we have a Constructors' Championship battle to think about as well. At this point, I think, let's see. So Perez is second. Charles is still ahead of Max. So that's advantage Charles then in the championship. At this point, it would go through to Abu Dhabi no matter what, because Max needs a top 3 finish at the least to pretty much guarantee it. Don't forget, it's a 4-point swing in his favour and a 7-point favour that Aiden Jackson needs to take the fight through to the final race. As for Jackson, he doesn't look like really scoring that at the moment. He's down in P7. Hakkinen stays 10th. That's where he started. The only real changes are at the front. Wow, Mick Schumacher has actually got a good start. He's up to 20th, so he passed Albon and Joe Guan Yu in the first couple of corners then. But right now at the front, Lewis Hamilton leads, and at this point, the title race will go to Abu Dhabi, because Charles Leclerc is currently sitting on, I believe it is 8 points, and Max Verstappen is directly behind him on 7 points. So that'd be 1 point towards Leclerc. So no, Max would actually be champion at that point, because he needs to stay 4 points ahead of Leclerc at this point to win the title. And Lewis Hamilton immediately taking to the inside and passing Perez with pretty much ease, to be honest. He definitely got the best of the start. And in the wet conditions, the starts can be a little more tricky. But for Lewis Hamilton, no such problems. He is in the lead, and do not be surprised if he is in the winning column by the end of this race, especially if it continues like this. We are hearing from weather radar. Well, we're not hearing from. We're suspecting, due to weather radars from most of the teams, that there will be a dry front moving in, and we could have a dry end to this race. We could be even going on to the dry tyres and having DRS enabled before this race is over. So, at this moment, the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes would increase their lead on the Audi team, because Lewis Hamilton is winning this race and George Russell was on for 12 championship points. So that'd be 27. They have a 10-point lead over Audi at this very moment. So they would increase that to, let's say, 25, and then it's 12, so that's 27. So that'd be 37 points between Mercedes and Audi in the battle for third. Well, actually, no, because Jackson would take about 4 points, I think it is, or I think he'd be on 3 points now, 4 points now, because he's down in P8 behind Bottas. So that's a surprise. Bottas is actually beating him in the corner there. Hakkinen would earn a point, so that is 5 points. So that would actually be down to about 27 then. So at this point, so that would be an increase of 17 points, because I believe it would be 27 if the race ended like this. As far as the top's concerned, it's the same result here as it there in points gap as it is between Mercedes and Audi. So Perez is on for 18 points at the moment. Don't forget the fastest lap bonus point that we'll probably get an update on later. That could change things. Perez is on for 12 points. No, not 12 points. I think it's 18 points. Max Verstappen is currently on for, I believe it's 10 points. Because it's 15 for third, 12 for fourth, 10 for fifth, and 8 for sixth. So Red Bull are on for, I think it's 24 points over Ferrari right now. Ferrari, obviously that's 10 points for Leclerc and 15 for Sainz. So that would be 27 again. So I think Ferrari would, trying to work it out, I think Red Bull would actually gain a little bit on Ferrari because of the fact that Perez is in second right now. So probably Red Bull would get the better points. I don't know whether it would overhaul them at all, because Ferrari would get 15 plus 12. No, 18, no, 15, no. I can't work it out. You know, you guys' mathematics is terrible. This is what happens when we get to championship permutations. And I've got to work all this out where the race is going. But there's really nothing else going on right now. Everyone's just following everyone else single file. Really, no one wants to really make a daring move yet. For Max Verstappen, you can understand why. Although he does have to finish ahead of Leclerc in this race. He doesn't have to actually beat him by many. At this very moment, he has a 4-point lead over Leclerc. He needs, well, he's got a 4-point lead. He needs a 4-point. He needs to keep it to above 4 points difference to take the title today. Charles would, let's work this out. 18, 15, 12, 10, and then Max would take 8. So that'd be a 2-point swing in Charles's favour. Max has a 33-point lead, my apologies, over Charles right now. And he needs at least 25 or 26. He could make it to 25, and he would, if they were tied on points, he would win the title for Max by countback, because Max has more wins, unless Charles wins this race. But I think even if Charles does win this race, he would then have to win Abu Dhabi as well, because I think Max has won probably about 1 or 2 more races than Charles has this season. Charles won the opening 2 races of the season, and then didn't win again until France. And then hasn't won since, I don't think. So that's on 3 wins for him. Max Verstappen won in Australia, he won in Miami, he won in Spain. Did he win? No. He won in Hungary, of course, even though that was lucky, because Hamilton had dropped out. And then he didn't win in Japan, he won in the US, and no, he didn't win in the US, he won in Mexico. So Max at that point has about 5 or 6 wins to his name, when you think about it. So Max would easily win the title on wins countback if the points are tied at the end of Abu Dhabi. Now, that sounds familiar as to last season. So as of right now, Charles would win the title. Max would win the title on this. He has a 25-point lead. He currently has 33. I think. Yeah, something like that, I think. I really should have probably looked at bigger. I should have looked at the table all through this morning to kind of drill it into my head, the points gaps. But we'll keep you updated as we go. Right now, there's nothing really significantly changing right now. Aiden Jackson is behind both Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. So that's him out of a title race at this point. And it would have repercussions for Audi in the Constructors' Championship as well. Because right now, Mercedes are on for virtually maximum points, 27 points, with those winning and George in 4th. Audi would be on for 6 points for Jackson and 1 point for Mika Hakkinen in 10th. So that's 7 points. They have a 10-point deficit to Mercedes, so that would increase in Mercedes' favour going into Abu Dhabi, of course. Of course, then Audi could finish 1-2 in Abu Dhabi, even though that feels unlikely, and overhaul that gap completely. It'll be a lot easier to work out at Abu Dhabi because there's only one race left. But as of right now, I think if the positions do stay like this, I think Red Bull will be behind Ferrari, but not by much. I think they'll probably be about maybe somewhere between 1 and 5 points. So that's going to be a very tight Constructors' Championship battle when we get there. And not much going on here today. Unfortunately, it does seem one of those roll races in the rain. We're going to have to try and work it out as we go. But right now, Lewis Hamilton seems very, very comfortable in the lead of this race. We said that before. I mean, Hamilton could have won at Miami had the safety car not wiped out his early advantage. He was actually building ahead of Verstappen. Mercedes was very good around Miami for a time. And every time Lewis has seemed on to win, the fate has intervened. Let's hope that doesn't happen today. He's in a home away from home today, Lewis Hamilton. Very much an honorary member of Brazil. Huge fan of Ayrton Senna, of course. That's obviously going to put you in good stead with the Brazilians who love their racing. So many heroes. Ayrton Senna, Rubens Barrichello, Felipe Massa, Fittipaldi, just to name 4. And many, many more as well. Even if you're not in a championship battle or in your not winning races, you're loved here. Rubinho was for so long, but Barrichello, as we know, had the most appalling luck round here. I don't think he ever finished his home race, except for maybe once in 2009. And maybe I think he had one in 2010 or 11 as well, but never won his own race. One thing that eluded him. Felipe Massa was able to do so a couple of times in 2006 and 2008. I think he won it in 2007 as well, if I remember rightly. That might have actually gone to Kimi Räikkönen now that I think about it. But in 2008, my goodness, Massa dominated proceedings. Didn't win the title that probably his drive deserved, but that's racing. Hamilton passed Timo Glock on the final lap and in the final corner. A lot of people would probably draw comparisons to Abu Dhabi in that instance. The circumstances were very different back then. It was green flag racing. Toyota had made a pretty, not a bad call, but an ambitious call, let's say, to have Glock on the dry tyres in the wet, I believe. I think they were thinking that it was going to dry out before the end of the race. Something like that. But it was a last lap pass, which made Abu Dhabi just as thrilling. I just wish it had been less of a contentious subject on that, the circumstances surrounding it. But if Max does do the business today, there'll be no such asterisks as that this time, as Aiden Jackson lets through Mika Häkkinen. I wonder if Jackson's got a problem. He's not really looked at it this weekend. He's not really been really comfortable at all. Really, Aiden Jackson. He's had to fight for his positions today, and he's losing out badly. He's lost the place to Bottas, and now he's lost to Häkkinen. So I wonder if Jackson is sacrificing, being the sacrificial lamb here in a sense, and sacrificing his own race to help his teammate out. Aiden hasn't got the pace to kind of keep up with Max and Charles at this very moment. He can be a very decent one with a driver, Jackson, but I don't think he's really on the level of Hamilton or Verstappen quite yet. I think it's something he's going to have to work on. But the rain can be a very random figure on the F1 calendar. It's just in the hands of the weather gods, as it were. But I think Jackson is sacrificing his own race for the good of the team. Because he's let Häkkinen through. He should be able to catch him Bottas. Not with relative ease, but he certainly will catch him better than Jackson has. Jackson was actually losing out to the Alfa Romeo. So I think Jackson has let his teammate past as he is definitely the faster of the two at the moment. So Hakkinen passed Pierre Gasly somewhere that we didn't actually see, but we've been so focused on these guys at the front that we've missed probably where all the action is at the moment. Max was having just more than content just to sit where he is at this moment. As of now, Charles would only score 2 points more than Verstappen in this race, and that would not be enough for Charles to win the championship at this moment. Sebastian Vettel has probably had to make a pit stop because he's 34 seconds behind Zhou Guanyu. So, Sebastian Vettel, what a sad way to end such. Oh! That's a Ferrari. That's Charles Leclerc. That's Charles Leclerc. He's fallen off the track. Oh no! Charles Leclerc, the championship pendulum has swung back towards Verstappen. Charles Leclerc has dropped it and fallen behind Verstappen. The dramas keep happening for Charles Leclerc. What happened here? Did he spin in turn 1? Oh, he takes it clearly enough. Just lights up the rear tyres, I guess. And, well, it wouldn't have affected much anyway in terms of a Drivers' Championship, but that could really help Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. And here it is from Max's perspective. That's a straight spin for Leclerc. Very strange. I mean, there is a bit of wet paint on the edge of the curb, but I don't think that would really unsettle the car that much. What a strange spin for Charles Leclerc. I wonder if he's got issues with that car, because that's a very unusual place to spin in such circumstances. Of course, the rain probably makes kind of makes that a bit different. But to continue with what I was saying about Sebastian Vettel, he's just been hugely unlucky. A legendary career like Sebastian's really deserved staying better than this. He's only had 1 point all season. The bulk of Aston Martin's 11 points have been from Lance Stroll. Sebastian has only scored 1, and he's only ahead of Nicolas Latifi and Mick Schumacher, simply because they haven't been able to score all season long. And for Mick Schumacher, that's especially disappointing. And speaking of that, Nicolas Latifi is actually in 16th ahead of Mick Schumacher right now, but the Haas seem absolutely nowhere, bearing in mind that Kevin Magnussen is 18th, so, you know, it's not like there's a big gulf between the two in terms of the race standings today. But, oh my goodness, Charles Leclerc, just more incidents for Charles Leclerc. He has had a rotten luck second half of this season. Nothing has gone right for him. Multiple pit stops for front wing changes, and now a spin. Has Charles Leclerc bottled it this year? I know that sounds a bit of a harsh term, probably because it is, but Charles has been relatively comfortable most of the season, to be fair. Ever since he won France, he was looking back on song, but the second half of the season just really... Because, man, let's face it, Max Verstappen has not really dominated the second half of the season when you think about it. He won in the USA, in Mexico, of course, but he retired in Japan, but Charles didn't score. And then Charles had that incident with Jackson in Singapore where he broke his front wing. He broke his front wing twice in the USA, and then he broke his front wing again at the Mexico Grand Prix. So Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, I think it's fair to say that Charles has lost this title more than Verstappen has gained it. That's probably what I would say. I don't think he's bottled it, Charles Leclerc. You know, you never know what can happen. It's racing, you know. But I really do think with all those incidents and failures to score in races he should have, like Japan, for example, when he couldn't even pass Mick Schumacher, you have to say that Charles Leclerc will have lost this title rather than Max really winning it. Really, because Max has been able to score. In fact, well, not in Japan, they both didn't score, but even when Max Verstappen had to pit for a front wing in the USA, he still scored, and Charles didn't because he had 2 front wing tyre changes. Jackson is really struggling at the back there. being pursued by Pierre Gasly, who's now in the points ahead of Lando Norris. And, well, Lando Norris would have started on pole position for from the sprint race results, but of course, grid penalties aren't applied until after the sprint race. So, Lando Norris loses a pole through no fault of his own, really. Well, Max was going to win this title regardless if the positions had been swapped around, because it wouldn't have been enough for Charles to actually win it, to keep it in contention for Abu Dhabi. But it's more than definitely out of the realms now, unless the race drastically changes. Max Verstappen, not unlike his 2015-16 days, very less prone to making mistakes. Although USA would be a mistake that he made, losing his front wing, but he made up for it, as Max does. He does make up for deficiencies or mistakes of his own. He's done it so many times, we're almost used to it. In fact, we should be used to it, because he's been around for almost 10 years, can you believe it? You wouldn't believe that, would you? Max Verstappen joined the grid in 2015. This is only his 8th season in this sport, and he's already, I would say on some drivers' part, achieved as much as someone like Lewis Hamilton or Michael Schumacher, maybe more, in his 8 years than those legends have done. He's certainly on par with them all, let's face it. Now, he's about to win his 2nd World Championship. Michael didn't win his first until 1994. And that was in rather contentious circumstances as all. When he was world champion, the Brazilian Grand Prix was the 2nd round of the season. So, in terms of experience, Nico Hulkenberg certainly has the advantage here. He's been closing on Valtteri Bottas. So, Aiden Jackson's team play instincts have helped out his team again, as they so often do. Lewis Hamilton is doing a tremendous job out front. He's almost breaking DRS on Perez, but that's redundant. There is no DRS in these conditions, and it doesn't look like being turned back on anytime soon. I think Jackson's actually starting to get back into this race a little bit. He seems to be catching up now. He seems to be finding a groove in those tyres. So we're expecting about maybe a 2-stop race if we do switch to dry conditions. If you're Aiden Jackson, you're probably going to wait until it dries out. He's done a great job to catch up, but now he's being held up, and Jackson is now catching them again. So, Lewis Hamilton still leads from just under a second from Sergio Perez. Carlos Sainz rather is still 3rd. George Russell is still 4th. And with the positions as they are, Mercedes would increase their lead on 4th placed Audi in the Constructors' Championship. If it says they are right now, I think, if my maths is correct, I would think that Red Bull would probably go a point clear of Ferrari at the top, and Ferrari have led the Constructors' Championship all season long. But Charles Leclerc has really, and I hate to say this, he's let the side down, because Sainz has not really put a foot wrong. Of course, he retired in Japan, which didn't help matters, but Charles, as we said, didn't score in Japan either. So that really was an open goal for Red Bull that it didn't really take very much. It was Jackson from Norris and Hamilton, as Max Verstappen and Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton come in for another set of wet tyres, amazingly. I'm not sure if that's the best thing to do. So Lewis Hamilton's lost the lead. Charles is now dropped behind Nico Hulkenberg, so he's obviously in the pits. for a tire change. Jackson's already beat him as well. Well, this very moment, Red Bull would overhaul Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, I believe. So, Charles has now fallen behind the Audis, who Aiden Jackson was nowhere near to begin with. And now he's ahead of him. Say this for free, Hakkinen can see Max Verstappen. Now, Max Verstappen hasn't pitted yet. So, there's actually he has, isn't he? Yes, he did, because Perez is coming in now. So, Hakkinen has gained. Audi, as a whole, have gained a lot from pitting when they did. Hakkinen can see Verstappen now. Having said that, he's just fallen to a second behind him. So Max has got the hammer down now. So, where is Max Verstappen on the track? We need to see where he is. Because we need to know where he's going to feed out when it comes to all these cars. I think Hamilton is going to beat them all just. In fact, it's probably going to be somewhat comfortable. Although Perez is going to be a lot closer to Hamilton there. So Hamilton regains the lead after the pit stops. And who's that? That's Charles Leclerc having a look at Aiden Jackson. So Jackson's lost out massively somewhere because he could see, well, Hakkinen's in the pits. He's going to come back out now. So the more Jackson can stay ahead of Leclerc, the better this will be for Red Bull. It won't really help Audi very much because Mercedes are back where they started, first and fourth. And of course, Charles Leclerc spun, and Aiden Jackson was, I think he was behind him at the time. So I think there might have been a mistake in the Ferrari pits because Jackson was a long way behind Leclerc at one point, and now he's ahead of him. So work that out. Well, it is the talent of Aiden Jackson, but he's certainly not been 10 stars today. Not really for any fault of his own. But we haven't really known how good the Audis could be in the wet. Jackson wasn't super fast in the wet in Singapore, if you remember. He won the race, but it took it all out of him, more or less. But in the rain, Audi wasn't particularly fast. Audi seems to definitely favour the dry conditions more, so they'll be hoping that in the next few laps there is a dry period. It is starting to come in. I am starting to see some blue skies across from where I'm sitting, so I don't think it's going to be too long before slicks are considered, or dry tyres are considered, I would say, rather than actually outright a thing to put on right now. Sebastian Vettel is still last, and he must have had an incident somewhere because he has been on his runs at the back all race long so far. Hakkinen has jumped Bottas, by the way. Hakkinen's got ahead of Bottas, and that's points for Alfa Romeo. We haven't really talked about Alfa Romeo since Bahrain. They hadn't scored for a string of about 8 races before the Silverstone chaos, in which Bottas got, I think he got a podium, didn't he? No, it was Kevin Magnussen who got a podium, but Bottas was able to score. And I think Joe Guan Yu got a couple of points as well. So, but Alfa Romeo certainly haven't, like we said, I would say maybe, when you think about it, Alfa Romeo is certainly a bit disappointing considering their power units, and the same with Haas, but I would say Aston Martin have been even more disappointing. You know, Lance Stroll's got 10 points and Vettel's got 1, but you would think that Aston Martin, who were in a fierce battle with Alpine last season, are the best of the rest, that's really fallen to Audi this season, but of course they're not going to be with us next year for a number of years. It's like Connorsport's going to take over. But they will be still a new team because the Connorsport car is theirs and theirs on their own. So they will be a new entry in 2023, a brand new entry. We can pretty much guess that maybe Devon Butler is going to be the second driver, and it looks more increasingly likely that they will go with the Mercedes power unit. But aside from the Mercedes power unit, the Conesport car is all their own. They're not taking any assets from Audi. The only assets they're getting is a payout from Davidoff Butler to sign on Chris Whiteman, who has done a fantastic job with that prototype Audi team as team principal. Mark Priestley, who is Aiden Jackson's race engineer, and the very much renowned and seasoned Jeff Nelson, who was Aiden's race engineer last season for his year at Haas, and has been Rob D of Raven West was Hulkenberg's race engineer, but after the swap, well, it wasn't really a swap, but after the swap of styles, we should say, when Hulkenberg was signed to the Grid World Series, Raven West pit crew and Raven West Rob D went with them. That was the race engineer and the pit crew. So Raven West were literally clean of any Audi ties that they had at that point. And following that, after the announcement of the technical partnership initially between Audi and Conesport, it gave Audi Conesport's pit crew that they'd already assembled. And that'll be the same. That'll be the same as a whole. Just when the pits as we're moving on to dry tyres now. I did say there was a dry line approaching, and I think we're maybe about a couple of laps away from DRS being enabled then, because the majority of the field is on dry tyres. You can do it beforehand, but generally the rule is if the high majority or if all the field are on dry weather tyres, that's when race control will switch on the DRS system. So it'll be interesting to see how the Audis go from here, because they definitely favour the dry conditions this season. But yes, most of these, only the pit crew are already Conesports. They're not really Audis, they're just there as probably some form of apprenticeship or practice, you could call it. But they've done a very good job so far. But when they join Conesport, it will be all new there. So George Russell will leave the pits. Sergio Perez is now leading. Lewis Hamilton has lost out in the pit lane phase here, because all of a sudden Perez is leading, unbeknownst to us, because I was very busy talking about other situations that may affect us next year. But in all of that, Lewis Hamilton has lost the lead. So I wonder if there was a problem in the pit stop for Lewis Hamilton, because he's lost out to George Russell, he's lost out to Carlos Sainz, and he's lost out to Sergio Perez. So now Perez is leading from Carlos Sainz. Now this changes the Constructors' Championship again, because now Sergio Perez with this win and Max in 6th, or 5th rather now, with Aiden Jackson chasing him down. This would give Red Bull the lead of the Constructors' Championship by well, not a measly point, but a point, basically. Now, if Mick Hakkinen can somehow find 12 seconds and pass Charles Leclerc, that would increase that. But that doesn't look very likely as of now. Aiden Jackson, however, is starting to fly. He's got that extra lap bonus point then, so if he keeps that, that could really help Audi right now, because Mercedes are 3rd and 4th. So once again, with a 10-point lead over Audi in the Constructors, Mercedes are now only on for 27 points again. They're probably on for more when Lewis was winning, of course. So obviously 15 for 3rd and 12 for 4th. That is 27 points. Audi would currently be scoring, I think they'd be scoring 9 for I think it'd be 9 for Jackson at the moment, and another 4 for Hakkinen. So that would be 14. So it would be a 10-point advantage, or more than that actually, to Mercedes. So that could more or less tie up the constructors' standings. It won't confirm it for Mercedes, but it would definitely go a long way to doing it. But guess what? Aiden Jackson's flying. Now he's got 5 seconds to make up to Verstappen. I think he's going to get there. If he keeps at this pace, he will get there, but he will run out of time. He will run out of laps, which is really unfortunate, because we haven't seen a battle between Verstappen and Jackson all season. It's the one we've wanted probably more than any of those, to be honest. Now, Carlos Sainz has to get his head down here, because this is not helping Ferrari in the constructors at all at this moment. Sebastian Vettel has called out to Mick Schumacher. So Vettel certainly seems comfortable on the dry tyres. There's a move for Esteban Ocon, Lando Norris. Oh, and everyone's going everywhere. That's Daniel Ricciardo outbraking himself and getting passed by Tsunoda. Ocon has passed Norris, I think. But yeah, in the battle of the best rest spot, Audi have took it, but Alpine have beat Aston Martin rather convincingly, to be honest. Of course, they pretty much ceased development early on this year to focus on the 2023 car, so we hope that that will pay dividends for them later on. I think it's been the same case at McLaren. Audi bought in their final upgrade package for Monza, and then that was pretty much it. They've stopped, and now they're going to take all those resources to them for Sauber for 2023 and onwards. Even though they will not become Audi until 2026, the partnership will officially begin. Well, not officially, but it will be provisionally done, because it's scheduled to start at the end of 2023 when this brand sponsorship deal with Alfa Romeo is concluded. They will become Sauber again in 2024, and then Audi can begin their work. And that's pretty much it on terms of the team real permutation changes that could be happening. Doesn't look like anything. Of course, we know that Red Bull, if not already, could be signing a deal with Ford to be supplied for 2026. We already know Honda could be in Aston Martin's radar for 26, but that's nothing set in stone yet. Now it'll make things very interesting. And then the Honda Power Unit return. Of course, they are still high notified sponsors on Red Bull cars. Once that's over, there's talk that they could be joining up with Aston Martin, which obviously sits alongside the new engine regulations. As for Audi, I think they'll probably continue with the Ferrari engines that Sauber have until they make their own. Rumours are that they will in 2026 as well. That was what the second year of Project Prototype next year was going to be about, engine focus. That they could be bringing their engines even early. They do have prototypes ready, but now with the subsequent, well, not stoppage, but certainly postponement of some kind on Project Prototype, with Conesport taking over from next year. The technical partnership with Conesport is still a thing, and that's why Audi will still have to pay Davidoff, or give Davidoff Butler a small cut of the winning shares. It's not really going to affect them too much, to be honest. Audi is a big car brand for a reason, so I don't think it's really going to harm them too much. It's not. It's all been done in good faith, to be fair. And well, everyone would say, well, why does Davidoff Butler need a cut? It's because, really, the technical partnership was a thing that was going to go ahead until Audi really just wanted to avoid any conflict with interest with Sauber. Sauber want the benefits, basically, is really the end of the day notes on that one. Audi just, Sauber just want all the benefits of the takeover they could get, rather than Cosworth having a a performance advantage going into, I think it would be 2024, after the technical partnership ends, and so does Project Prototype in a sense. So Connosport really is a blank canvas. We don't know where they're going to be next year, because they're not taking any of the Audi assets in terms of the car. Team principal Chris Whiteman has made himself very renowned in the world of F1 this year. Deputy team principal Andre O'Connor, as we know. Aiden Jackson's already on the books, as we know. And so is Mark Priestley, as Aiden's race engineer. And obviously, Jeff Nelson is going to be the other one. And of course, Connosport already had their pit crew in action today. And have been that since Monza, I want to say. Actually, probably more since Zandvoort, actually. Well, it's not been the most entertaining race this season. We've had so much crazy in the 2022 season. I think we were due a couple of races like this. But the real high note is that at this moment, Max Verstappen is championed by a majority, to be honest, because Charles Leclerc is falling off the rear wing of Aiden Jackson as he is absolutely flying. He's just 3 seconds behind Max and the 2 Mercedes. He's going to run out of laps. There's only 4 left to go. What a shame. Aiden Jackson absolutely flying, and today is exactly what Audi would need to solidify second. Thinking about it, Aiden Jackson would be second in the Drivers' Championship because Charles Leclerc only leads Jackson by a point or two, doesn't he? And Aiden's won more races than Charles. No. Yes? Would Aiden be ahead of Charles on countback? I'll have to have a look at that later. That's just hit me. I think Jackson might be P2 by the end of this race. But if he gets ahead of Verstappen and the 2 Mercedes in the next 3 laps, then he'll definitely be ahead of him. But once again, Charles Leclerc just so many mistakes that he's just having to rue over the last 2 races. He hasn't bowled it, but he's definitely lost it. That's for sure. Well, so if my calculations are correct, Red Bull would overhaul Ferrari and lead by a point going into Abu Dhabi in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes would consolidate ahead of Audi because they're only on for about let's do this again. About 9 points for Jackson and 4 for Nick Hulkenberg, who's not reeling in Charles Leclerc, unfortunately. He's actually falling back a bit. Jackson is absolutely flying. Definitely feels good on these tyres. What are the tyres of the rest on? I'd like to know, to be honest. Oh, what a shame. He's going to run out of laps, Jackson. I don't think he's going to make any positions up, but he's going to give it a go, isn't he? He's been nowhere pretty much all race long. He's had a very quiet one considering the rest of the season. Jackson was in the highlight reel almost every single race, apart from maybe Hungary, where he was really just nowhere. But he's not been nowhere. The car just isn't really on par with the top 3 today, and that's really proven. So, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz are on a league of their own, as it were. I think Sebastian Vettel may have been lapped by these two, I think, which is really unfortunate. He's fallen at the back of Mick Schumacher again, so Vettel's just having an absolute mare day today, unfortunately. Nothing through his own fault, I'm sure. In fact, yes, he has been lapped, because I think that was a Ferrari just going by him there. I think that might have even been Charles Leclerc, so he might have actually been lapped some time ago. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is right in striking distance of Sergio Perez, and Mercedes are getting some form of payback on Max Verstappen, I guess. This is very similar to Hungary. The only difference is that it's George Russell leading the way. I don't think there's going to be any engine problems that befall these two at this point. But look, Aiden Jackson is right there. How does he do it? Aiden Jackson, he was nowhere near these guys. But now it's dried up and he's right there with them. Can he pass Verstappen with a lap to spare? Well, we've got one lap to go. Oh, and he's pushing hard, you can tell. Really pushing hard. Aiden Jackson's filling it with his car now, back in the dry. So, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz are about to start their final lap. Sergio Perez, for the first time this season, looks to have won. And for once, Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez have got the better of their more established teammates, as it were. Well, Carlos Sainz is definitely no slouch, and neither is Perez for that matter. Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez, race winners. Obviously, Sainz in France last year, and this year at Austria, I think. Sergio Perez, a winner in 2020. I'm trying to remember if he won in 2021. I think he did. But whatever the case, he's going to win today. Sergio Perez, he couldn't do it in Mexico, unfortunately, but he will certainly take it. He's going to take the checkered flag to win the Brazilian Grand Prix as Esteban Ocon, who has been absolutely flying in this latter stage of the race, takes 9th. Sergio Perez wins. Red Bull, for the first time this year, take the Constructors' Championship lead, but world champion F1 in 2022 is Max Verstappen. He has done it. No asterisks, no maybes, no extenuating circumstances. This one, Max won on his own. Though he may have had some help from Charles Leclerc, really just having a mare of a time, definitely since Monza. This is a championship Max won, or Charles lost more than Max won, but you had to be in it to win it. And Max Verstappen, he most certainly is. And now is world champion in 2022. No possible asterisks, no safety car shenanigans, nothing. Just pure Max Verstappen. He's been there for day one, and he even retired in day one, if you remember. He retired in Bahrain, kept with Leclerc in Saudi Arabia, but couldn't beat it. And then won in Australia, and very much just went from there, really. This is one we can call Max to be actually have won for a change, even with the cost cap drama, but that wouldn't have affected this year, unless they have broke it this year, of course. But I very much doubt that's happened. I don't think they want to risk any more of that, considering they've got an ATR penalty coming for next year. So, Sergio Perez has won ahead of Sainz, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton 3rd and 4th. That's crucial for the Constructors' Championship as far as Audi is concerned. 5th place is enough for Max Verstappen to take the championship today. Aiden Jackson 6th, despite a valiant fight in the final stint. Hakkinen gets 8th, which gets keeps Audi in touch. Esteban Ocon, fantastic drive from 14th to 9th. And Pierre Gasly picking up a final point for AlphaTauri. But incoming now should be any moment, I think. I'm not sure where it is. So there we go. There's confirmation. Max Verstappen cannot be caught, but I was right. Aiden Jackson and Charles Leclerc are on equal points. Jackson's on for 2nd. I hope he can hold on to that. Well, he was behind Sainz and Leclerc all year, but all of a sudden he pulled ahead of them. He broke his employees as well, Hamilton and George Russell. Nico Hulkenberg, I think pretty much, even if Daniel Ricciardo wins, I think Nico Hulkenberg has secured 10th in the drivers' standings, which is a phenomenal effort from someone who only restarted his career at the French Grand Prix this year. Max Schumacher and Nico Hulkenberg look odds on to score no points, and for Schumacher, it's disappointing. So Red Bull do have it ahead of Ferrari by a point. Mercedes fight to hold on for third. It'll be a close one thing. There's still something to fight for at Abu Dhabi, but as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned, it's all over. Max Verstappen is your 2022 World Champion, as Charles Leclerc falters. We'll see you in Abu Dhabi for the final race when F1 returns.